So the next speaker is from the North Dakota Soybean Council, Mr. Kendall Nichols. He's the Director of Research. He is our go-to guy for soybean research in North Dakota.
I'm Kendall Nichols, Director of Research for North Dakota Soybean Council. And I've been with the council for 8 years. Before that, I was in an organization that we call Extension for a number of years, and very blessed to have spent 16 years with North Dakota Soybean, or North Dakota Extension. But now I work for the North Dakota Soybean Council. The council, we do our work with checkoff dollars. Every time a farmer sells soybeans, 0.5% goes to checkoff, and we get to keep 1/2 of that, and half of it goes to the national organization. What we do with the checkoff dollar is we work on international marketing, which has been kind of a challenge the last couple of years. It's come back in a big way now. We do research, is where my area is, and I receive all the applications and go through the funding process. We also do producer education and communications, as we are doing today. Consumer awareness. So we want to make sure that all the consumers know what soybean world is doing and how it benefits them. Soy biodiesel, and then transportation. One thing to know is that the North Dakota Soybean Council is governed by a 12-member board of directors that's elected by the soybean farmers who represent the specific area of the state. And in fact, we're going through the election process right now, and we've got a couple board members that are terming off. And these board members are so important to our organization because they direct us, they give the staff what our priorities are and move us along and help support the soybean industry and bring the information from farmers to us. Our office staff is Stephanie Sinner is our executive director. Suzanne Wolf is our communications director. Molly Fern is our director of finance. So you want to make sure you know Molly, if you've got a grant or you need some finances, she knows all the ins and outs. I'm director of research. I've been here for 8 years. Jenna Burtness is a director of marketing. She just celebrated 1 year with us. We're so glad to have her on. And then Linda Briggs is our part-time office assistant and does many of the things. We have some initiatives this year. In the market development, the initiative is to build demand and market share for North Dakota soybeans. And this has been great that now that China's back in the market, but we also work in Southeast Asia and all parts of the world to move our soybeans. And currently in North Dakota, our soybeans are moved as full soybeans. So this is a very important initiative. Production and plant breeding research. Invest in production practices and plant breeding to improve the current and long-term success of North Dakota soybean farmers. And we've got Carrie has taken over the reins there. We're looking forward to working with Carrie in the future. I got to say that Ted Helms was with he started the plant breeding program, and the last year has really came out and put some really good varieties for North Dakota in the plant breeding process. But they also work with Berlin Nelson and Guping to try and make sure they have the right resistance in those varieties. Biodiesel, support the opportunities for demand and production of biodiesel. Biodiesel isn't the biodiesel that we started out with. It's much improved as everything is. And if you haven't given biodiesel a chance, I urge you to do so. New uses. This is invest in new uses for North Dakota soybeans with the potential for high volume or high value demand. New uses is kind of an emerging area. We're trying to cut our teeth in this, but we have some great research going on. just to share a quick success story, Dr. Jim Barr at NDSU has a road dust repellent or to replace our sodium chloride that we use on the gravel roads. And it's hitting the commercialization this year. And you'll see more news about this product hitting airwaves within the next year. And then public relations. We want to strengthen the relationship between consumers and farmers. We want to make sure that our consumers know what we're doing and all the great work that's happening in research and within the soybean industry that helps serve them and impacts their lives daily. Our Soybean Research Committee, our mission is to strategically invest research dollars to secure a more profitable future for North Dakota soybean producers. We have a great committee. Dan Spiekemeyer from Sheldon, North Dakota is our chair. Levi Taylor is a council member. Jennifer Meyer is a newer council member. Mike Schlosser has been with us for several years and also represents us in a 5-state, we call the NCSRP. Rick Albrecht is a former board member and continues to help us out in the research area. Joe Erickson is the North Dakota Soybean Growers Association representative. He is currently chair, will be stepping off of that, but the Growers Association is our sister organization, if we want to call it that. We work closely with them. They're the lobbying group. They're the ones you want to talk to if you want to get some things changed or want to do anything that's political. The council is non-political and we can't be by law. Now, we also have Bill Connor in this committee. He is the industry rep at large and provides a lot of great input. Then Emmett Lampert is our advisor. All the projects that come into us, Emmett will review them, give his opinion, and has become a very important member of our group. Selection and research to be funded. Each year, we fund, as you can see, a number of projects. And how do we decide our priorities? We'll use research roundtables, get groups together and talk about what we need. We talk to other soybean boards. Then we talk to also researchers. We get input from farmers and crop consultants. And from the information we gather there, then we'll set up our priorities for each year. Each year, we average 40 to 50 research proposals, and they only get about 10 minutes to sell their presentation. So you better have your elevator speech ready. About 30 to 35 are funded, and then the committee will vote on recommendations, but the full board has to approve them. And then during the year, there's always some things that we don't expect come up, and we can approve additional funding requests. Currently, we have 52 research projects that are funded at about $1.8 million. That will be ending here in June, and we'll be moving on to a new group in July. Funding areas are agronomy, and you can see that we, all the major suspects, soil health, diseases, insects, we fund research in all these areas. New uses, as I mentioned earlier, some exciting ones we have is we are looking at plastic films for food packaging that would be biodegradable and sustainable. We also do educational programming. If a county would like to put on a soybean program, we have up to $750 per year. If you do get a grant from us, I'm an ex-teacher also, and I'm the one that will require you to get your mid-year report in, a technical report, which is something that they have to put together that would be sent to their peers. Then an executive summary. This is a very short summary that we put in our annual research report that's sent out to about 13,000 people. So it's very important. We're on social media. We will be on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. Our big one is Facebook. And then we have a number of YouTube presentations. So social media has become more important, and it's a great addition. And then last but not least, I would like to talk about our new soybean breeding program. Carrie Miranda put this program together. She's doing a great job. And she brings traditional breeding plus molecular expertise to the breeding program. And she's looking at higher yielding varieties, IDC, SCN, SDS. Also, we would like to keep looking at drought tolerance, especially as soybeans have moved into northwestern North Dakota, in southwestern North Dakota. When I started 8 years ago, I think there was one field down in southwestern North Dakota for about 50 acres. You go down there now, and there's a lot of soybeans growing down there. So we have truly become a statewide commodity. Root rot resistance, Berlin Nelson has led the charge on root rot resistance for a number of years, doing a fantastic job in that area. Ohio Lake is something that we don't have. Carrie's taking a look at that. We would like to get some Ohio Lake into our early season soybeans, as Ohio Lake is finally catching on. It's been around for a while. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Dr. Sam Markell is our SCN. He's leading a group, national group, and we have some great research in a number of areas. And I can't say enough about the quality of researchers we have at NDSU. It is really unbelievable. The people that we work with and other directors of other states, I think they get tired of me saying our researchers don't take a back seat to anybody, because we got some really good ones, and the information they provide doesn't go sit on a bookshelf like some other times things happen. They use it, it gets out, and it gets to the people who can use it. So my compliments to NDSU Extension, all the researchers, and to Carrie for putting this on. I look forward to more years to the Soybean Symposium. And I'm about done at 14:35 is what my presentation says. So if you have any quick questions, I'd be willing to take any that you have.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kendall. That was really fantastic. So I do have a question. In my presentation, I will also talk about Ohio Lake. And Kendall, you might be interested to know that our keynote speaker here today, Kristen Ballou, was the one who discovered Ohio Lake soybean.
Out of Missouri.
That's correct. That's correct.
And it's non-GMO.
Yes, the one. Yes, the trait that we're receiving into the NDSU breeding program is not the engineered, that like Bayer and Corteva have engineered. It's a 2 gene deletion, and yes, they have engineered that, but they're not naturally occurring. They're created through mutagenesis, or at least one of the alleles is. But it's still conventional breeding, considered conventional. So I'm just curious, how do you perceive farmers' perception of hyoleic? Do you think that there would be a demand in North Dakota?
I think there will be a demand. We've actually had some farmers asking about it. There's been a big push in South Dakota for the hyoleic, and that spills over into North Dakota. And actually yesterday at the growers meeting, there was a fair amount of discussion about Ohio Lake, and they were asking, when are we going to get the varieties? And I said, it's going to take a little bit, but I think Greg or Minnesota has some that might be adaptable for parts of our state.
Yeah, it's true. So not to get ahead of ourselves, Aaron Lorenz is also here today too. He's the soybean breeder of Minnesota, and we do have a strong collaboration. So we have to work out the licensing, of course, of those traits, because those traits are owned by the Merchandising Council of Missouri. So, but once we sort out the contractual stuff, I'm sure we'll be able to share germplasm. So
Missouri's been great to work with. So I think we should be able to make that come about.
Right. I think so. All right. Well, we're a couple minutes ahead of schedule, but I don't think that's a bad thing. So Kendall, I want to thank you. Sorry you can't hear any applause, but I really appreciate you taking the time. And of course, all the researchers here that are presenting today are actually funded by NDSC. So we are extremely grateful for your role as the Director of Research, and then of course for the distribution of the checkoff funds.
It's our pleasure, and anybody, our phone lines are always open. We're always looking for input. So don't be afraid, good or bad, let me know. That's the only way we find out what's really on people's minds. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kendall.